Calling all my go-getter, high-achieving Christian entrepreneurs. You are invited to join 100 like-minded women at Joyful Business Live, a 3-day Holy Spirit-soaked women's business conference happening September 16th to the 18th in Panama City Beach, Florida, home of the world's most beautiful beaches. Every detail impeccably planned to ensure bold business breakthrough in the room. Our all-star lineup of world-class 7- and 8-figure experts, including Brielle Cotterman, Dr. Jennifer Blossom, and Eileen Wilder, will be sharing their secrets. Then you'll implement what you learned and get your questions answered in real time. Listen, a 2D Zoom meeting cannot touch the energy of this in-person room. So grab your ticket today at judyweber.co/joyfulbusinesslive. That's judyweber.co/joyfulbusinesslive. Be sure to use code JUDY50, that's JUDY 50, for 50% off your general admission or VIP ticket. I will see you there.
Welcome to the Cherie Rickard Show. I am your host, Cherie Rickard, and I guide women like you to become grounded in faith and success. Tune in every week for faith-inspired episodes and powerhouse interviews centered on faith, family, and business. And if you've ever felt like you were made for more, you're in the right place. My hope is that you feel equipped and you live out your calling, living exceedingly abundantly above and beyond all that you could ask for, and just make a difference in the world. So get ready to rise, pray, and conquer, and let's dive in. It's all about peace and patience this week. And I'm glad for it because we need it. We all need it. I need it. We always need it in this crazy world. So I'm going to jump right in and get straight to it today. And I'm going to start with peace. What is the definition of peace? If someone were to ask you, hey, what gives you peace? How do you have peace? What would you say to them? Well, I'm going to tell you what Jesus says to us and what his promise is to us about peace. It says in John 14:27, peace I leave with you, my peace I give you. I do not give it to you as the world gives it to you. So not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. Now, I don't know about you, but that's very reassuring and comforting that our creator of the universe is telling us that he gives us peace. This is a gift to us. And that it's not the peace that the world gives us. It's very similar in the world's definition of what gives us peace. You know, good health, a good bank account, the perfect marriage, kids that listen to you all the time, and they're really good in sports and, also they're super smart. But all of those things can be good, but that's what the world tells us. That's because the world tells us, hey, this is what will give you peace. But Jesus is saying, I give you peace that surpasses what the world says. I give you peace that doesn't even make sense. And then he follows it up with this. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid. He's basically saying, I already know that you're going to have things that cause you pain in your life. Already know that you're going to be afraid. Already know that you're going to look at your circumstances and let that surpass what I'm telling you. We have peace of God in us that can get us through any of those things. If we know this and if we believe this, then why are so many people walking around peaceless? Why do so many believers constantly look completely stressed out, constantly struggling with the direction in their life, and they look exactly like the world? We're all guilty of responding to life circumstances the way the world does. But that's why it's so important for us to know the promises of the Bible, to know what God tells us, because we can very quickly get outside of what we know to be true, and then we have no effect on the world around us, right? Because we're just like the world. We're just like non-believers. So if God's giving us this promise and he's telling us, hey, look, don't be troubled. He's telling us, don't be afraid. What is it that robs us of our peace? Well, I'm going to give you just a few points today. There's many, obviously, that rob us of our peace, but I'm just going to go over three of the big ones that I think everything else stems from these three things. Number one, we start to lose our peace when we don't trust God's timing, when we're impatient. When we are impatient, we are not going to be at peace, right? This is when we start snapping at people around us. We start getting frustrated with our jobs, maybe our friendships. When we're impatient, peace goes completely out the window. Now, let me read you the definition of patience, okay? Patience is to wait expectantly, to endure long suffering, and to hope for. So the Bible tells us that patience is to wait expectantly. It's different than the wait of the world and the way the world waits, right? So the world's type of impatience is just waiting and hoping something just plops down in our lap. We have a different type of patience. We have a patience that means we are waiting expectantly, knowing and hoping. We hope for God's promises to be revealed. We put our hope in what he already told us, which is in fact that he gives us his peace. To wait with expectant hope and to endure. Now, I don't know if you guys have had to wait for anything in your life for a long time, or if there is any particular moment that you could look back and say, oh yeah, that was, I had to sit in that and wait on the Lord for that one. And some of the times that I have been the closest to God are times that I've had to wait the longest. And he allows these sufferings, so to speak, sometimes in our lives so that we do sit with him. We draw close to him. Isaiah 40:31 says, those who wait in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not be weary. They will walk and not be faint. Those who wait on the Lord will renew their strength. If any of you need any strength right now? Do you need any strength right now for anything? Any of you feel like you're just a little bit weary with a particular area in your life? Well, here's the promise for you. It means to wait expectantly, to be diligent about spending time with him in the waiting. You're not just going to be sitting around twiddling your thumbs, waiting on him and waiting for something to plop in your lap. No, that's what the world does. You're digging into his word right now while you're waiting. You're fellowshipping with other believers. You're around other mentors that you can pull from. And this is a promise that you're going to renew your strength. You're going to soar like an eagle. I want that. It means that you're going to arise above, right? Eagles rise above everything. They rise above the crows. They rise above everything. They soar the highest. Eagles fly above the storm. So in the storm that you're in, God's promises says that he will have you soar like an eagle, which means you're going to go above the storm that you're in. You're going to be able to rise above and see the big picture, the big vision that he has waiting for you. Now, I will be the first to admit I don't really like waiting. It's just not my nature. I'm not necessarily that person that will just sit. I am that person that likes to go. I'm like, okay, let's go. We'll figure it out once we get there. We got this. I get things done. I make things happen. I want to move and go. My sister can be a testament to this. But I will tell you, oftentimes in the past when I would do that, I would go, wow, you know what? Maybe I should have just paused a little bit. I'm a lot further along than I used to be. Now I am like, you know what? Let's give it a minute. Let's hear from the Lord. Let's get a peace about it. You're not going to go wrong when you spend time with God and just wait on him. There's going to be pressure all the time from the world saying, make this decision, move there, do this. The world is fast paced and it's not waiting for you. It's not waiting for me. It's not waiting for anybody. But you are not going to go wrong by sitting with the Lord and spending time with him and saying, you know what? I really need to wait on the Lord to make it clear to me. I need to have a peace about the direction that I'm supposed to go, or I think that I'm supposed to go, because God's timing is always right on time. He's never late and he's never early. I want to have this kind of strength always for the rest of my life. The strength that allows me to soar like an eagle above the storms in my life, to be able to run and not grow weary, to be able to walk and not grow faint. That means basically that you're going to be able to have supernatural strength and do things that are not possible in your own strength. And all of this only comes when you spend time with the Lord. I absolutely love this promise from the Bible. Do you know the God of the universe? Do you know that he never grows weary? He never gets tired. So ladies, wake up. You've got the strength. You can tap into it. He's giving it to you, but you have to wait on him. You've got to allow him to be your strength. So when you are impatient and you lose peace, friends, We are trying to do things in our own strength. And there's many instances in the Bible, if you read all those stories, David being one of them, where they had to wait. They had to wait on the Lord to fulfill his promises. And it's not easy. I know that. Look, just like you, they had trials in the waiting times too. That's why I love all the stories in the Bible, because they are so encouraging, because each one of those people are just like us. They were messed up. They were broken. They trusted in the Lord and his promises, and they did not necessarily see it come to fulfill in their timetable. And yet God is still fulfilling it, and God is still using them just like he'll use you. Here's a good encouragement for us today. Be brave and be courageous. Psalms 27:14, again, it says, be strong and take heart and wait on the Lord. So many times in the Bible, we are told to wait on the Lord, wait on the Lord, wait on the Lord, because it's always followed with be strong and take heart. I love that. It's saying it's going to take some courage. It's going to take some strength. It's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. It's going to be so worth it when we wait on the Lord. You will see things and you will grow more than you've ever grown before when you learn this promise. Wait and trust. They are interchangeable in the Bible many, many times. Just like Isaiah 40:31, when I read, wait on the Lord and you will renew your strength. Another version of the Bible says, trust in the Lord. Put your hope in the Lord and you will renew your strength. So wait and trust means the same thing. We're supposed to be brave and courageous and wait on the Lord with confidence and expectation and hope, right? So number 2, when we are pursuing things that God hasn't asked us to pursue, we start to lose our peace. When we are pursuing things that God has not asked us to pursue, and we start getting stressed and depressed, right? It's called being outside of God's will. When we are outside of God's will, maybe he's telling you, you know what? I've been asking you to do this and you've been too afraid. You've been too hesitant. You've been too lazy. Maybe you've been in doubt. Whatever it is, whether you are pursuing something that God's not asking you to pursue, or you're not doing what God has asked you to do, you're going to lose your peace. You're going to start to feel uneasy. That's why people say, I just don't have a peace about it, because they feel uneasy because they're walking out of God's will. This is God talking to you. I think this is one of the greatest problems that we have today, along with obviously being impatient, is that too many people are outside of what God is asking them to do. And some of you are exhausted. You're confused because you're trying to achieve things that God never asked you to achieve in the first place. And you have expectations on yourself that he never asked you to put on yourself in the first place. So you're just uneasy. You've lost your peace because of failed expectations of something God didn't ask you to do. You failed at something that he didn't ask you to do, and now you're all stressed out about it. You have no peace about it. You're beating yourself up about it. And God's like, hey, but I didn't even ask you to do that. I didn't ask you to go there. I didn't ask you to move there. I didn't ask you to be in that friend group. We put these expectations on ourselves because sometimes they are misguided, and we try to do things in our own strength. How do you know you're doing what God asked you to do? I think that this is probably the biggest question that I personally get from people. How do I know God's will? How do I know where I'm supposed to be? How do I know where I'm supposed to go? Well, how do I know what job to take? So if you want to know God's will, you simply need to know God. We focus so much on what God's will is. What does God want from me? But instead of doing that, we should be saying, who is God? What is God? Just get to know him. When you get to know God, all else will be revealed to you. This I can promise you. God, the Bible tells us in Matthew 6, plain and simple, seek first the kingdom of God. I even have a bracelet that says, seek first. All of these other things will be added unto you. Everything that you're worried about, your job, your family, your health, relationships, where you live, all of these things that we all think about. I want you to read Matthew 6. It's talking about the worries of the world, the things that consume our mind, that rob us of our peace. And he says, if you seek first God, just seek him and don't worry about his will, that he will reveal what his will is when you get to know him. When you get to know somebody, you get to know who they are, right? You get to know their character. I've spent 26 years with Wendell Rickard. This year, we're celebrating 25 years of marriage. And you know what? I know him. I know how he's going to respond to certain things. I know what he's going to say before I even ask the question. I know his heart's desires. I know what makes him motivated. I know what makes him frustrated. You know why? Because I know him. And it's the same with God. When you want to know his will for your life, simply get to know him. Read the Bible. They have apps there's one that's called Bible in a Year. If you don't like reading all the time, listen to the Bible. It reads the Bible to you. Do this on your walk. Do this in the gym. Do this in your car. This is why I wake up early and spend time with the Lord in the peace and quiet before the phone rings, before I check my emails, because they flow in by the hundreds daily before the chaos starts for the day. I want to know him because I know the key of hearing his voice throughout the day is the key of knowing him. To hear his voice on the bigger issues of my life and waiting on him, I have to seek him first. This is why I get involved in Bible studies. This is why I had a Bible study last year. This is why you need to get involved in Bible studies, because you have the guidance and the season of women who are going before you that have maybe walked through these things that can help mentor and guide you and help you understand God's will. If you want to have peace in your life with where you are and where you're going and your family and the needs in your life, you cannot listen to the voices of the world. Remember, I've told you over and over again, whoever has your ear has your life. You have to listen to the voice of God and expect to have the peace of God by listening to him. Okay, lastly, number 3, and this is 100% a surefire way to rob you of your peace, and that is when we don't believe God's promises. We don't believe what he says that we are supposed to believe, or even worse, maybe you don't even know God's promises. How do you know you believe what you say you believe? Well, you're going to act on it. That's why. How do you know you believe God's promises? It comes by actions, right? Actions speak louder than words. Well, and I will tell you this, you're going to be tested. You're going to have opportunities in your life that are going to test you. In James, it says the testing of your faith develops perseverance. So I've had people ask me, why are we tested? Because it develops perseverance. Perseverance must finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, lacking nothing. This is a promise of the Bible as well. So if you're going through hard times, anybody that tells you that once you become a Christian or you put your faith in God and all will be well is an absolute lie. Yes, all is well in the end. And yes, God will guide us through everything and he will be there with us through every single thing that we go through, and he will never leave us. He will never abandon us. And we will have his promises to stand on, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be an easy ride and it's going to be perfect. Anybody that knows my story knows that. We are going to be tested. We're going to have an opportunity to actually live out what we say we actually believe. Why are we going to be tested? It tells us right here. We develop perseverance. Why do we need perseverance? Because perseverance is going to make us mature and complete. I want to be mature and complete in my faith, don't you? I do, because I want to actually be a light. Me saying that I believe in God and posting really cool Bible verses here and there on social media is not helping anyone know who God is. It may plant a little seed, but it's not helping them know God. But me responding to life circumstances that are very tough in the way that honors God and shows people, wow, she's got something else going on in her. Even though, yeah, she could have easily been in that dark place right now after everything that she's been through. She's out there putting her trust in God. I want to be someone that is not just trying to be perfect and show people that I'm some perfect Christian, because that just doesn't exist. And that's not me. I want to be somebody that shows people I have the problems that you do, but I also have the promises to stand on. And I know that they are true because I've seen them in my life. I've seen what God has done in my life. I've seen them come to pass. See, the cool thing about when we walk with God long enough, and I've been walking with God long enough, ladies, is that you understand that every single trial that comes your way is an opportunity to grow in your faith, to get stronger, and to be even a brighter light to everyone around you. And that includes your kids. That includes your husband. That includes non-believers. You can't really know the depth of your character until you see how you react under pressure. You don't really truly know someone until you see how they react under pressure. This is how we know who we are. This is how we know who someone else really is. You know, when you're waiting on God, He's going to do 3 things. He's either going to fulfill the desires of your heart. He's going to, number 2, change the desire of your heart. Or number 3, He's going to use you in the midst of it while you're waiting. It's really absolutely glorious if you walk in the Lord and you have patience and you can wait on Him and you truly believe in His promises. I really want to leave you with this, ladies. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. We've heard that before, right? Psalms 23. These are things I can take to the bank when I wait on the Lord and when I actually accept the peace that God gives me. And it's this: I shall not be in want. I have rest. And you can repeat this after me. You can make this your affirmation today. I'll start at the beginning. I shall not be in want. I will have rest. I will not be rushed. I will be restored in my soul. God will guide me. I will not fear any evil. God will comfort me. God prepares what's ahead. God anoints me. My cup will be overflowing. Goodness and love will follow me wherever I go. I will dwell in God's house forever. Right? So if you need to have that as your affirmation, rewind that, play that again. Now, I don't know about you, but those are some strong promises. That's covered really every single basis in your life. That is my hope and prayer for you this week, that you would lean on these verses that I gave you today in this affirmation that we went over, that you would lean on His truth and His promises, so that you are very, very bold. We have boldness, right? The Bible says, go to the throne of God with bold prayers. I want you to be so bold this week in some of the decisions that some of you are going to make, that it's going to stem out of the time that you spent with the Lord. It's going to stem out of you waiting on Him and seeking Him. So let's go make this week all about peace and patience, ladies. Thank you so much for spending time with me today on the Cherie Rickard Show. If you enjoyed this episode, I would be forever grateful if you would just take 30 seconds and bless me with a 5-star review. Also, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a new episode drop. Share this podcast with someone who may need the same encouragement today. Make sure you tag me on Instagram at the Cherie Rickard Show and let me know that you're listening. You also check the helpful links in the podcast notes. Join me also on Thursdays. I'm going live now on Instagram and Facebook. My Facebook is called Empowerment is Beauty. You can go back and click the link in the bio. I am going live with a weekly devotional. It's 15 minutes every Thursday morning. It's called Rise, Pray, and Conquer. And that's what I want you to do this week. I want you to rise, go in prayer, and conquer. And I look forward to meeting you on Thursday live and next week right here on the podcast. So until then, God bless.